thousands of hours of surveillance, and the only people that were on it were these couple people.
I would see, all manner of domestic violence, and it's a very difficult crime for everyone involved.
And so I take this pill, and about 30 minutes in, man, maybe about an hour, I'd say about an hour in, I start feeling real jittery and
Cassie
shaky.
Ventura has made a powerful move, one that has shaken the empire of Sean Diddy Combs. What began as whispers in the music industry has now erupted into a full-scale courtroom battle. For decades, Diddy was untouchable, an icon of hip-hop, a business mogul, a man whose influence stretched from New York studios to Hollywood boardrooms. But today, that empire is cracking under the weight of disturbing revelations. He now stands before the law, convicted of 2 federal crimes. For years, rumors circled about Diddy's private life. There were hushed conversations in back rooms, stories exchanged behind closed doors, but no one dared confront him. He was too powerful, too connected, too wealthy to be challenged. That all changed when Cassie, his longtime partner and protege, found her voice. By stepping forward, she forced federal prosecutors to open an investigation that exposed secrets buried for decades. In court, the picture that emerged was chilling. Prosecutors described Diddy as the orchestrator of what they called freak-offs, lavish, disturbing gatherings hidden behind the glamour of celebrity life. These were not glamorous parties filled with carefree laughter. They were, according to witnesses, carefully controlled environments where women were pressured, manipulated, and often afraid to say no. Employees acted as gatekeepers, ensuring Diddy's demands were met. The women, tied to him by emotional bonds, financial dependence, or career ambitions, found themselves trapped in situations they never truly consented to. Diddy's lawyers painted a different picture. They argued that these were consensual adult encounters, private matters sensationalized for profit and revenge. They claimed opportunists were twisting lifestyle choices into accusations of crime. But the evidence told another story. Letters, testimony, and video footage revealed a disturbing pattern of control. In one clip shown to the jury, Diddy was seen in a Los Angeles hotel hallway, physically aggressive toward Cassie. The silent images struck harder than words ever could. Cassie later explained that this was not an isolated incident, but part of years of fear, violence, and domination. Inside the courtroom, prosecutors built a case of manipulation, intimidation, and power abused. They argued that Diddy's fame and fortune became weapons, tools to silence victims, to control careers, and to keep women compliant. Cassie described being terrified to refuse him. Another woman, referred to as Jane, testified that she too was coerced into situations against her will, pressured under the looming threat of retaliation. Both said that intimate videos were used as leverage, with Diddy threatening exposure if they disobeyed. Yet when the jury reached its verdict, they did not convict on the most severe trafficking charges. Instead, they focused on the Mann Act, an old but powerful law from America's legal history. Diddy was found guilty of arranging for women to travel across state lines for immoral purposes. The law does not require physical force or financial exploitation, only proof that the travel was facilitated with illicit intent. His defense team called it unconstitutional, unfair, and unlike anything seen before. His attorney Alexander Shapiro wrote, "This conviction stands alone, but it should not stand at all. Still, the conviction stands. And for now, Diddy sits inside Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, awaiting his fate." His lawyers filed a 62-page motion demanding a new trial, claiming the government unfairly painted him as a villain. They insist the trial was biased by 20 years of rumor, speculation, and exaggerated claims. They argue that everyone involved was an adult, that there was no trafficking, no money exchanged, no exploitation, only consensual relationships reimagined as crimes. They even claim that personal videos shown in court were private creative works, protected under free speech.
Just to remember, she made it very clear he had been at her since she was like 18, 19 years old. It didn't become so-called official until her 21st birthday, and she was already signed. Matter of fact, if I'm correct, I believe that's the night that Britney Spears was there at that party as well, and they said that she was seen left with Diddy, half out of her gourd. And Diddy was joking about what he had done with her. But I guess, we want to skip over all of that. So she started out as an employee. Um, all of the beatings, because there were more than the beatings that we saw on that tape. Which, by the way, I also sat here on this couch and said he was beating that girl, he was raping that girl, he put the boots to that girl, and dared her to say anything. And you said, why would he do that? Because I said, because he thinks he's God. Now, we all saw that tape come out on my birthday, May 17th, 2024. And even though that was the first time I had seen that tape, it sounds like I described exactly what he was doing to that girl on that tape without me seeing it. How could that be possible? How could I be that right? How could I guess that good?
How did you know, Jack?
Once again,
But Cassie's voice remains clear. In letters submitted to the court, she wrote that she would not feel safe if Diddy were released. Others echoed her words, telling the judge that his presence outside of prison would be dangerous for them. Those letters carried weight. When Diddy requested bail, the judge denied him, citing a clear risk to the safety of the victims. The courtroom, once a stage for Diddy's legal battle, became a place where women who had been silenced finally spoke. Beyond the trial, politics swirl around the case. Former President Donald Trump, once aligned with Diddy in business and entertainment circles, described him as half innocent. In an interview, Trump hinted at the possibility of a pardon, but stopped short of committing. His hesitation stemmed from history.
He kicked out 20 million in 24 hours. Why would you do that if you did nothing wrong? Why? You were doing it out of the kindness of your heart? Well, why? Why? Just like Mr. Clayton Bigsby. Because that's what he looks like, the crackhead. That Dave Chappelle used to play on this show, the Clayton Bigsby. He looks just like that to me. I'm sorry, I don't care how magnificent you say your penis. I couldn't make it past the look of your face, sir. Cassie would have needed to be high on all of the stuff in that baby oil and everything else, y'all, to be able to make it through you. Or maybe the diddler really chose him because he wanted to make sure there was somebody there that was uglier than him. Of all of the things y'all have heard me say to y'all for all of this time, have you ever heard me get into any of these nasty details that you heard pop out through the trial?
Nah.
You ever hear me talk about the size of people's members, the nasty little... I pretty much kept it short, didn't I? I spared y'all exactly how trifling and nasty it really was, did I not? I mean, considering how disgusting all of this stuff is, I think I gave it a lot of grace. And yet I was still very accurate about everything that I said was happening, except for the whole idea that, there was no other celebrities. It was no other celebrities were there. And this only happened with these couple of people. And da-da-da-da-da. And so we're supposed to believe that the feds went into multiple addresses, picked up thousands of hours of surveillance. And the only people that were on it were these couple people.
So the question, Jack, is: do you feel the feds, the prosecution, put on a good case? Did you believe they put their best foot forward, or maybe they rushed things, or maybe they didn't do their due diligence in certain areas?
I think
The echoes of Jeffrey Epstein's case haunt this story as well. Epstein died in federal custody under circumstances many still question. His death, labeled a suicide, cast a shadow over America's prison system and raised doubts about accountability when the powerful fall. Now Diddy sits in a different prison, but the parallels are striking. Both men were once untouchable, their power shielding them for years. Both eventually fell into the hands of federal prosecutors, and both became symbols of how far influence and wealth can go before justice finally strikes. Cassie Ventura's demand is simple: justice. She stood up against a man who controlled not only her career but her life. Her courage has emboldened others, creating a ripple effect that continues to grow. The courtroom became a stage where fear turned into testimony, where secrets became evidence, and where silence was finally broken. Diddy's sentencing is set for October 3rd. The world will once again watch as the judge weighs the arguments. On one side, a defense team insisting the law was twisted beyond recognition. On the other, victims who have waited years for accountability. The stakes are high not just for Diddy but for the system itself. This trial is not only about one man. It is about power, privilege, and the long overdue reckoning of celebrity culture. For decades, Sean Diddy Combs built himself into an empire. He stood beside legends, shaped the sound of an era, and became a global figure. But in 2025, that empire faces collapse. Cassie's voice pierced the silence, and the world cannot unhear it. The mask has slipped. The question now is simple, yet monumental. Will Diddy walk free? Or will he finally face the consequences of his actions?